This is Exit and Emergency, episode 13. I have some neat stuff to show off as always, so let's begin. Here we have this rather large emergency light. This one is a high capacity emergency light, and it's a little bit different from most because there's 3 emergency light heads on it, which is pretty cool. It's actually the only emergency light in my collection, as of me making this video, that has 3 heads. I think these are pretty cool emergency lights. I've always been fascinated with ones that have the additional 3rd head. And if you're wondering, when would you find an emergency light that has 3 heads, because typically emergency lights only have 2 heads, well, this was more of a popular option with incandescent and halogen emergency lights, and this emergency light is incandescent, by the way. And it's if you need an emergency light that's really bright and brighter than standard models. So for example, you could have a big manufacturing facility or warehouse that you need really bright emergency lights, and you may find some with 3 heads there, or some places require it, like back in the day, New York City actually required 3-head emergency lights. And as I mentioned, this is a high capacity model, or expanded capacity, and all that means is that the emergency light will last longer in a power outage, or you can connect remote heads to it. I don't have any remote heads connected, it's just this emergency light, so this one lasts pretty long in a power outage. And speaking of outages, I've actually had a few with the setup you'll see in this video, and this emergency light I'm pretty sure lasted around 3 or 3.5 hours. This unit uses 9-watt incandescent bulbs for the emergency light heads, which is pretty bright, and again, it's even brighter since it has the additional 3rd head in the middle. And here we have the test button and AC light. We'll give the unit a test. And it's bright. I also like the appearance of it. And I haven't mentioned it yet, but this is a chloride branded emergency light. And something you'll find with the units in this video that are in my room is they are all from the same family line, so they were all produced together, but they were branded by different companies under a lighting group. Now, this isn't a case of like a generic company making something and a bunch of other companies rebranding it. There's a bunch of companies under this one lighting group, and they produced a series of exit signs and emergency lights, and all of those companies shared the products. Let's move on to the other side of my room and see what I got. And we have this little emergency light. You can see it looks very similar to that other emergency light we just looked at. The heads are identical, and the test button and AC light are very similar. This is the standard version of the high output emergency light on the other side of my room. It's got standard output emergency light heads. These are 6 watts each, so it's a little bit dimmer compared to that other emergency light, and it has a standard backup battery on the inside, which means this unit will last around 90 minutes in a power outage. Let's give it a test. Looks pretty cool. I've always liked the design of these emergency lights. They look neat. While Chloride branded this unit too, there's another company called Lightolier, or they might be pronounced Lightolier, that brands this particular unit. And they also branded that big emergency light we saw on the other side of my room too. Now we'll move on to the exit sign, and it's this one. Looks pretty neat. Again, Chloride branded these as well as Lightolier, but this one is branded by a company called LightGuard. Of course, this is just an exit sign only, but if we look at the test button and AC light again, they are very similar to the other emergency lights we saw. So this one was also in the same lineup. We'll give this one a test. Works just fine. It's all LED. This sign is a little bit on the large side. It's a lot larger than standard plastic exit signs. And all of the units that you're seeing in my room, so this sign, this emergency light, and that emergency light, were all around in the late 90s and early 2000s. That's when they were produced, and that's when they were most popular. Let's take a look on the inside of this exit sign, and the way you remove the faceplate is if you look to the side, there's these 2 tabs that you stick a flathead screwdriver in that will release the faceplate. And most plastic exit signs have those tabs, but you may know they're normally located right here instead of to the side of the exit sign. So let's take a flathead screwdriver and pry them open. There we go. And the faceplate comes off just like that. You can see we have the top LED strip, and the bottom LED strip. For some reason, the top LED strip has a few more LEDs compared to the bottom one. There's the backup battery, AC connections, some more wiring. There's the transformer. And ignore my sketchy mounting. The reason I had to do it that way and not use the traditional way is because for some reason the mounting holes are off-centered, so I couldn't mount this with the holes I already have in my wall, and I didn't want to make new holes, so that's the way I had to do it. Here is the label. Kind of zoom in, and here's some more information. It says LightGuard Emergency Exit, and the full model is ULN1RW. One last thing with this sign that I'll mention is the font is off-centered with the housing. You can see that because there's more space on this side between the T and the arrow compared to this side between the arrow and the E. So kind of strange, but I guess that makes this sign a little bit more unique. In emergency mode now, the Chloride branded high capacity, high output emergency light is really bright, and I think it looks pretty cool. Something about the 3 incandescent heads and the appearance of it, I don't know, I just think it's neat looking. It's really bright. It's lighting up the entirety of this side of my room, and I can see everything, so there it is. Let's check out the other units on this side of my room. The standard capacity model, the Lightolier branded one, again looks neat in emergency mode too. And it's lighting up this side of the room pretty decently. And then the egress path in the door with the LightGuard branded sign, which is doing the same. So that's all that's happening in my room. And now we'll move on to the last spot. Moving on, we have this exit sign combo. This is an Emergilight X10. It's one of Emergilight and Light Alarm's more popular combos. They're more known for combos that look like this. And I mentioned Light Alarms because both Emergilight and Light Alarms pretty much share the exact same products, and they have for a long time. This combo is equipped with a neat option, and it's actually with the exit sign itself. It might look incandescent, but this is actually a fluorescent exit sign. You can see the fluorescent bulbs on the underneath side through the grills, but we'll take a look at the fluorescent bulbs when we check out the inside of the exit sign later on. This is one of the few exit signs or combos that I own that actually use fluorescent bulbs, and fluorescent exit signs were around when incandescent exit signs were standard. They were more expensive, but the advantage of them is they took up less electricity compared to incandescent bulbs. So if you wanted to save on your power bill, you could buy fluorescent exit signs, and compared to incandescent exit signs, they wouldn't take up as much power, so your electricity bill will be less. Let's take a look at some other features with the combo. You can see the Emergilight logo. We have these two smaller heads. There was a couple variants of the X10 combo. Some of them had smaller emergency light heads like this, other ones had larger heads. Over here we have the status indicators and the test lever. I've come a little closer to this so we can see it in better detail. In the middle we have this yellow LED, and you can see it says ready, and what this indicates is that the combo has AC power to it, so it's normally on. Above it we have the high charge indicator, which is a red LED, and you might have seen it flicker a few times, like right now. And what this indicates is that the combo is charging the battery at a high rate. So normally, in normal operation like right now, the combo is charging the battery at a float charge, and after a power outage or after you test the combo, it will charge the battery at a high charge. So this LED will come on indicating that the combo is charging the battery faster. And lastly, we have this little test lever, and yes, I said lever. It's not a typical test button like most other exit signs, combos, emergency lights have. You can see it says test and it points down, and if we pull down, the combo goes into emergency mode, and that's how you test it. And you can see the high charge indicator lit up, saying the combo is charging at a high rate. Let's get a better angle of me testing the combo. I know I'll probably receive comments about this, so I want to go ahead and address it. Yes, I'm aware that I do not have the right arrow punched out because the exit is to the right. And the reason I don't have that arrow out is because with metal exit signs, if you take an arrow out, it's permanent. You can't snap it back in like plastic exit signs. So because I want to keep this exit sign in the default state with no arrows punched out, and since I'm not in a real building, I just left the arrow in. Well, while I was recording this video, I actually had a fluorescent bulb to burn out in the exit sign, and you can see that the light in it looks uneven now. I wish I was able to film it, but I was deleting an outtake, and next thing I know, the bulb's out. So we'll have to change the light bulb in this video, and while we take a look on the inside of the exit sign, we will swap the bulb. And I had to go out to the store and buy a replacement CFL bulb, and I've already opened it. So this will be a first for exit and emergency videos. I've never changed any sort of light bulb, so let's do it. To open up one of these exit signs, it's a little bit different from most. We come to the side of it and you can see there's two screws, and we undo those and then this little end piece will come off. I'll start by unscrewing these. Now that they are removed, we can take this piece off. Next, we'll slide the faceplate out. And lastly, we'll slide out the diffuser. Here's the inside. We have the longer bulbs, which are the fluorescent bulbs that are normally on when there's AC power. And then you can see these tiny little bulbs that are off. These are the emergency bulbs, and the only time they are lit up is in a power outage with the emergency light. So I'll press the test lever. You can see the emergency light's on, and the emergency bulbs are on too. Now let's replace the burnt out fluorescent bulb. So we'll start by gently unplugging this one. It just kind of slides out. There's the burnt out one, and we'll take the new one that's in its packaging and we'll plug it into the socket. That's the cool thing about fluorescent bulbs, they kind of flicker when they're first powered on. Well, that's it. The exit sign has a new bulb, and it's back to normal. The power has been cut, and let's see the performance of the X10. And unfortunately, it's not the best. The exit sign is noticeably dimmer in emergency mode compared to AC mode with the fluorescent bulbs, and that's bound to happen since we only have the tiny DC bulbs on the inside, but it's still a good brightness. It's still very visible, and you can see it, which is good. But the emergency light portion isn't that good. It's actually very dim. You can see this head that's pointed at us right now. If we take a look where it's adjusted, it's not really lighting up anything. It's very dim. Same with the right head pointed down here, very dim. And if we take a step back here, again, it just keeps getting darker and darker the further we go back. I would almost compare this to a generic no reflector incandescent combo. And I hate to say that because this is a good quality combo, but it's just not that bright. That's all for this episode of Exit and Emergency. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and tell me in the comments section below which unit was your favorite. I think mine is this large 3-head emergency light. It looks pretty cool. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.